brief description on the tips that we use for all of our interior and exterior painting. These are the tips that we use for all of our latex-based paints. And we're going to start off by showing you the RAC guard and 2 RAC X tips. These tips and guard are actually manufactured by the Graco company, and this is the company with the best tips that we found that work best for us. The tip itself is actually inserted into the guard, twisted, and then the guard itself is hand screwed onto the gun and hand tight, no tools. It only needs to be screwed on hand tight. The 2 tips that we actually use the green tip or the blue tip. The green tips by Graco are actually all fine finish tips for any fine finish work, and we use these for all of our cabinetry, furniture, and interior trim work on houses where you want an extremely smooth fine finish paint job. On any exterior houses or interior walls and ceilings, we actually use the Graco blue RAC X tips. And the sizes that we use on all of our exteriors is typically a 621 or a 517. Most paint manufacturers actually recommend a 517 tip, but we found that for the majority of our painting, a 621 actually functions better because it actually covers better. It actually makes it so we can actually paint a little bit faster because the fan width is wider. On all of our interior trim, in cabinetry, we use a fine finish tip, and we actually use the size a 210 tip or a 310 tip. On the exterior finish with the blue tips, they're 621s or 517s. And the numbers I'm actually referring to are 3-digit numbers, and they refer to the fan width in inches. So if I'm calling out a 621 tip, the first number is a 6, which is the fan width in inches times 2. So the 6 multiplied by 2 is 12. So this blue tip, a 621, will actually throw a 12-inch fan out. That's how far the fan width of the gun, when you're actually spraying, will actually cover. On a fine finish tip, the tip itself is a 210, so the first number is a 2 multiplied by 2, which is 4, and that gives you a 4-inch fan, so it's a lot narrower of a fan. The last two digits refer to the orifice size, and the larger the number, the larger the orifice, and more paint it throws out. So a 210, the orifice is a 10. A 621, the orifice is a 21. So these fine finish tips don't throw out nearly as much paint as these RAC X 621 tips, and that's why they actually create a finer finish than the larger tips. And those are the actual tips that we use for 90% of all of our interior and exterior painting. Typically, when you rent a sprayer, they're gonna give you one of these tips, along with the sprayer. If you rent it, if you purchase one, it typically comes with one of these tips brand new. The tips themselves typically only last about 20 gallons per tip, and so if you get a rental sprayer, the tips more than likely are going to be bad and not function properly and throw out erratic patterns. So it's best if you actually purchase brand new tips when you actually get ready to start your project.